You're listening to the Fan Club podcast, where two polar opposites discover each other's fandoms for the very first time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fan Club podcast. This is Matthew.
This is Sarah.
And today is episode
55? I think it's 55. And today we will be covering Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Yes.
Which is the longest book in the series.
Yes. But it's in, runtime wise, it's in the middle.
Yeah. I have to say right off the bat that this episode is not going to be... I'm going to try to limit as much as I can of the, well, this happened in the book, well, this happened in the film, because there is so much of a difference.
I would say about a quarter of the book made it into the movie.
The broad strokes of the plot made it into the movie.
But a lot of the details that adds to the that's how did that happen?
Well,
we were just here, but how did we get here with no explanation?
Yeah. So before we get into the nitty-gritty, don't forget to enter our care package giveaway. There is a link in our description to the Google Doc. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and follow Matthew's seasoning Instagram. Yeah. It's gonna be really cool, and you'll get a little bit of free merch, Matthew's full line of seasonings, as well as a couple of extras, and it is open to everybody. I want to stress that. If you are even the least bit interested, just enter Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
So, this book is the longest book. It's 850 pages, at least the American paperback version, I think.
You have a hardback.
I have a paperback right now. I have a
hardback version.
I have the illustrated edition, and I have the I don't know what edition it is, but it's the black and white covers that are sketch, the sketch style, which I really loved, and I found them at Half Price Books a year or so ago.
No, it was a lot longer than that. I spent...
Because we found all of the books except for Half-Blood Prince, and...
In one location, and then I would go to another location about once a week to look for about 3 or 4 months.
I just really, really love the art style that's on those covers.
There are some really cool covers. There are.
And I'm not one to because I know a lot of people are they're big into collecting the different languages and stuff. I've never been into that. I have my illustrated editions, I have my regular paperbacks, and then I'm starting to collect the Mina Lima paper or the pop-up book editions that you've been getting me.
There's only 2 so far. And those are pretty cool. They have pop-ups, they have inserts. They have
really cool interactive inserts, but only the first 2 were out. And I've been really enjoying those, but I don't think that those are ones that I will, if I'm going to reread the series, I'm not going to pick those up.
No, you won't pick the illustrated ones either.
I'll have our son read the illustrated editions when we first introduce, because I think it's a good way to, I think it's a good way to introduce him to, what the characters look like and the world building and stuff that isn't just the movies.
Yes.
What I really appreciate about the illustrated edition specifically is that it's not just, paintings of the actors.
Yeah, it's what they would have looked like described from the book.
And I really, really enjoy the illustrated editions. And, the reason why I brought all that up is because the illustrated editions...
are thick.
The third one could probably kill somebody if you dropped it. Let alone the 5th one.
The 2 that I got you, the Mia Lima ones.
Those are, they're small, but they're thick.
You could kill someone with that.
They're
double the normal pages. But it makes sense because there's a lot of the pop-ups and there's different things like that.
So, this book is probably the one I've reread the most. Because when I was...
I'm the opposite.
When I was, a preteen, I had a really... we moved across the country when I was, 12 or 13. And I was having a really hard time, sleeping in the new house for some reason. And And so my mom was like, why don't you fall asleep to, like, a book on tape or whatever? And so I started falling asleep to Harry Potter, but for some reason, because this was in the days of iTunes, and for some reason, the Order of the Phoenix one was the only one I had on my iPod.
Yes.
And so I fell asleep to Order of the Phoenix, like, almost every single night, and I just would, like, when I would finish the book, I would just start it back over. And it was the only thing that, like, helped me adjust to sleeping in the new house. I don't really know why, and ever since, you know, I haven't been able to sleep in a room that's quiet. It was, like, my white noise.
Like, but the fifth one is, I think, the one that I've read the least. Because the one I read the most was the third one.
Yeah.
The third one is my favorite. The fifth one is okay.
I think the fifth one has a lot of outside world building.
Yes, where it's, like, compared to the first four, there was no real world building.
Other than, like, we learn a little bit about the, like, other schools and things.
A little bit of it, but, like, this one, you see
how, like, the greater wizarding world works. And you see, like, St. Mungo's, and you see...
You see more in this one than you see in any of the books, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think...
Because even in 7, it's mainly countryside and green gods.
Like, I think 5 is... Because we've already, you know, had 4 books of establishing who these characters are, I think 5 is a really interesting character study into, like, these characters' brains.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, they're 15 now, so, like, and this book gets a lot of criticism for Harry being, like, really moody, but, like, you have to give him a little credit for what he's going through.
Mm-hmm.
I think this book and this movie especially, does a really excellent job of conveying isolation and gaslighting.
Yes.
And also, I think this film specifically, the book less so, but the film specifically has a very strong through line of found family.
But all of the movies are about found family.
Well, the specific message of book 5 is that Harry needs to rely on his friends. And Harry needs to rely on the people that care about him in order to succeed.
True.
And that comes through in the last 2 books, I should say.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said 3.
Because you were thinking about that there's 3 movies.
Yeah. But, like, it's something that Harry, his knee-jerk reaction is to be like, no, I'm going to keep this close to the vest.
Yeah.
I need to do everything by myself. But, like, Luna says it perfectly that, and I don't think this is a line in the book, but I love this line, that she says something along the lines of, that Voldemort would want you to feel cut off from everything else. Mm-hmm. And because if it's just you alone, you're not as much of a threat. Which, in some parts of this movie, Voldemort does come across as kind of an abusive boyfriend. In some ways.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I will say, this book introduces my personal favorite character, which we've already mentioned. If you've never seen me in person, you wouldn't know that I have a giant Luna Lovegood Spectre Specs tattoo on my arm.
Yeah.
Luna as a character means a great deal to me. She is representative of, like, being so sure of yourself and having so much self-assuredness and confidence.
Yeah.
In the face of, like, people thinking you're crazy.
I mean, she kind of was.
And I don't necessarily...
I'm not saying she is. I'm saying she kind of is.
I don't necessarily relate to her in, like, that we had similar struggles, because we didn't. But I just really admire that quality in her.
Did we ever find
her
out?
Conviction.
Yeah. Did we ever find out what happened to her mom?
She did a lot of, like, experimental spells and potions, and something went wrong.
Okay. I couldn't remember if it was something to do with Voldemort or not.
No.
I mean, Is that a bad question? Because
No, not necessarily, but, like, what would Voldemort have to do with the Love Goods? Realistic.
What would Voldemort have to do with the Potters?
The Potters were part of the Order of the Phoenix.
Wasn't the dad?
No.
Oh.
And I don't even know if the Quibbler existed at that point. Yeah. So, one of the funny things that this book starts off with that I, for some reason, had to mention, that Harry goes on and on about how hot, unseasonably hot, this summer has been, and, the book literally says that it's 85 degrees. And I'm like, clearly Harry's never been to Texas.
I would love it to be 85 during the summer.
Oh, God.
That would be amazing. Just 85 year round. That would be...
To be fair, though, the UK typically does not have AC.
They have ceiling fans to stay cool. They have window units to stay cool. In Texas, we have AC. It is still hot in the house with an AC going.
No kidding.
Like, you could step outside for 2 minutes and break out in a sweat.
I don't know why I'm always hyperfixated on this particular line. I think it's just because, like, living in Texas, it's not uncommon for it to be, like, over 100 most of the summer.
Mm-hmm. The last few summers have been weird where it didn't get over 100 until, like, July.
Yeah, and that's rare. I mean, I remember...
It's been the last, like, 2 or 3 years it's been like that.
I remember
ever since we had that weird, like, freak snowstorm a couple years ago.
I remember when it was after high school for me, so maybe it was, like, 2014 or something.
Mm-hmm.
That summer was over 100 degrees for, like, I think, like, 50 days in a row.
Yep.
A good chunk of those were over 110.
Mm-hmm.
If that gives you any sort of indication. And then we also, on the other side of the spectrum, have record-breaking cold snaps.
Of, like, 2 degrees.
For Texas.
Yes.
That, like, completely wrecks our infrastructure.
Like, it just destroys everything. Like, it just...
I just thought that line was funny, considering, Harry, like, fixates on it for the first, like, almost the entire first chapter. And I'm just like, boy.
I said, is Voldemort controlling the Dementors now? Because don't we see the Dementors in book 7?
Well, because I can't remember if it's Sirius or if it's Dumbledore who says that the Dementors are kind of...
they broke free.
They don't really have a governing body. They kind of just, like...
They broke free.
They kind of just do their own thing.
Or did they break free when Bellatrix broke free?
But maybe it's Hagrid, because I think Hagrid says something along the lines of, like, magical creatures are, like, joining the dark side, but, like, nobody really knows what the Dementors are doing. Because the Dementors, like, at one point, like, leave Azkaban.
Yes, so they leave Azkaban after... So I actually read about this on the Harry Potter wiki page.
Our favorite source.
Yes. That I get a lot of info from that Sarah had no idea existed.
It's because I don't leisurely read the Harry Potter wiki.
Like, that's how I realized, like, when the Potters got the invisibility cloak, it was the son that got the invisibility cloak from the dad in the tale, his grandson married the Potter girl.
Yeah.
And that's how the Potters got a part of that family.
We can talk more about that in Deathly Hallows.
Oh, we will absolutely talk all about that, because I have researched all of that.
Of course you have.
Because I was bored one day. Hey, we get technically 2 Horcruxes in this movie.
Why are we doing a Horcrux count?
Because I want to. Because you said not every movie has a Horcrux.
Technically in the book, we get 3, because there's a very brief mention of the locket.
But we don't see it.
Yeah, we do, because Harry, basically they're cleaning out Grimmauld Place, and
but it's not the
kids are all passing around this locket, this old ornate locket, and Harry notices that there's a heartbeat in it.
But
the locket is stolen by Mundungus and sold, basically, on the black market.
When?
After book 5. So Harry, like, literally holds a Horcrux in his hand. So technically there's 3. Because Harry, Nagini, and the locket.
But we don't see Nagini.
Yeah, we do. She attacks Arthur.
We see Arthur, but we don't see Nagini. Because we're looking through Nagini's eyes.
She's still there.
But we don't see her.
Anyone who appreciates our banter.
But we don't see Nagini, though. So I'm right, still 2.
Dudley and Harry have a confrontation, and Dudley's, like, having some really low blows about Cedric and his mom, and, like, he says, like, don't kill Cedric. Who's Cedric? Your boyfriend. It's like, okay, we don't need to be homophobic. And it's like, and he goes, like, where is your mom, Potter? And it's like, geez.
Where's your Aunt Marge?
I love... I love how Dudley's friends are, like, laughing like it's the best joke they've ever heard. I don't know.
Why does he go back to that house?
Well, I'll get to it in a second.
In all honesty, why would you go back to where you're mentally abused?
I will get to it in a minute. So, then, Dementors are after them.
Or just one. Isn't it just one?
No, it's 2.
It's 2.
And Mrs. Fig shows up, who in the book is revealed to be a squib, but in the movie we don't ever get, like, she's just, like, she's just, like, kind of inferred to be a muggle that Dumbledore just, like, let in on the secret or whatever, but in the book she's a squib.
So she's been keeping an eye on Harry.
Yeah, and Harry notices a lot of her cats are, like, kind of chilling around, and Harry is suspicious that her cats are, like, being spies. Which is my clue that they're at least part Neasel.
I don't think so, because even if they were a spy, she couldn't talk to them.
But Neasels are, like, really smart.
Yeah, but they can't speak English.
I don't know. But,
unless if they're in a Magi's.
I mean, that's not a terrible theory.
She could be in charge of, like, there could be squibs in each area that are in charge of, like, animagi's to keep watch on, like, young wizards that live in the area.
Listen, that's not the absolute worst fan theory I've ever heard. The worst one is Draco Malfoy is a werewolf.com. If you need a good laugh, this...
It doesn't exist anymore.
No, it does.
It does?
I looked at it the other day. It's literally a white screen with black text. That's the only thing that's on this website. It cropped up, I think, before Half-Blood Prince the book came out. Mm-hmm. Or no, after.
It was after because people thought he turned into a werewolf because of his failure. Because Snape had to do it.
Probably was about, like, 2006 when this website cropped up. Before Deathly Hallows the book came out.
I bought a book about what was going to happen in book 7 from, like, Borders.
I think I got that too. I think I might have gotten that for, like, my birthday or something.
What might happen?
R.I.P. Borders.
No, but it was this weird little book.
It was tiny.
Yeah, it was maybe like 200 pages, 100 pages.
Yeah.
And it was like, what if Neville was... Because Harry Neville could have been swapped.
That book was the epitome of, like, the book that could have been a website.
Yeah.
Or, like, could have been a blog post.
Yeah.
Like, it's like that meme of, like, this meeting could have been
But it wasn't
an email.
written by J.K. Rowling. It was written by someone else.
It screamed, I self-published this on Amazon.
Yes. Yes.
I would love somebody to find that book in, like, a half-price books or a thrift store or something.
Oh, gosh.
That would be... If you have a copy of that, please send me a picture.
Yes. Because I remember it vividly. It was like a bluish purple book with, like, white letters saying what might happen in the 7th Harry Potter book. Or something along those lines.
Was this before people, like, wrote blogs?
When did the 7th book come out?
2007. The 7th book came out the same summer this movie came out.
Oh, yeah. I was in Oregon at this time.
This was the year that I moved to Texas.
Mm-hmm. And this was the year I moved out of Texas.
We have some, like, really weird...
I was just trying to get away from you.
You didn't even know I existed yet. Anyway.
But yeah. I think I bought it.
We were talking about Miss Fig.
Yeah.
Which she's always referred to as Mrs. Fig, which makes me... Is she a widow?
Maybe.
Do we just never meet her husband?
But she's Mrs. or she never married.
I don't know. Not really that important.
I don't know. But I like my theory.
I don't hate your theory. It's nowhere near the worst theory you've ever presented me with.
And I presented with some far out there Harry Potter theories. Still, no one has answered my Sword of Gryffindor question. And I want an answer. And I have deep dived the internet for an answer. And there is not an answer. So if you think the Sword of Gryffindor would turn into a Horcrux if it killed a Horcrux. Actually, it does kill a Horcrux. It kills two.
Locket.
Kills two.
Kills the locket.
And Nagini.
Oh. Harry casts the Patronus Charm. We go back to the house.
Dudley's freaking out.
And this is when we get a letter from Mafalda Hopkirk, which, fun fact, is the woman who Hermione turns into in Book 7.
Mm-hmm.
But Harry gets expelled from Hogwarts. And then in the book, Harry gets 2 more letters. One from Mr. Weasley saying, stay put.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to fix this. And the second one is to Petunia saying, remember my last Petunia. And
I don't remember that.
yeah, so, because Vernon tries to kick Harry out of the house, and Petunia is like, basically, this letter is revealed to be from Dumbledore to Petunia in reference to the letter that he left with baby Harry on the doorstep.
Mm.
And it stresses that Petunia needs to take care of Harry until he turns of age in order to protect him. Because it's the blood protection.
Yeah.
The trace.
Mm-hmm.
The secret keeper, essentially. Is that the I think that's the secret keeper, right?
So essentially Petunia is Harry's secret keeper.
Kind of.
Gross. But that makes sense now why in the 7th movie where she's so sad having to leave her house and leave Harry.
This is why I think that scene should not have been cut. Because, A, that scene should not have been cut from this movie. And that deleted scene of Harry and Petunia having a reconciliation should not have been a deleted scene. It should have been actually in the movie.
Yeah.
Because, and I think that the scene just before that where Dudley kind of reconciles as well, like, because I think that cutting that is just...
But you're supposed to hate the Dursleys.
I fully appreciate that, but I think Petunia is a much more complicated character than people tend to give her credit for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Vernon is that complicated.
No, Vernon is just evil to be evil.
But the issue is that Petunia, because she was so bitter, because her sister was special and she wasn't, and that she tried to get in, she tried to write a letter to Dumbledore saying, like, I want to get into Hogwarts too, but she's a muggle.
Yeah,
and
she can't see Hogwarts anyway.
So, because she was so bitter, she was like, I'm going to marry the most normal milquetoast guy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was so aggressively muggly.
Yeah.
She went so far into the other direction.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, couldn't Dumbledore have let her in? Okay. I just realized another plot hole in Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, jeez.
What's the muggle's name?
Kowalski? Jacob?
Kowalski. Jacob. He sees Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Muggles can't see Hogwarts.
It's just like ruins.
But he sees Hogwarts in its full capacity. There is a protection charm on Hogwarts where, like you said, it just looks like a pile of ruins. It looks like rubble. So how could Jacob see it? I just put those two together. You didn't think about that, did you?
No.
Or is it because he was given that fake wand thing? Where he had some magical...
Or Albus did...
He wasn't headmaster. What spell could he have done?
Unless he was given, like, special permissions. Like Dumbledore gave him, like, some kind of special...
But he wasn't headmaster.
Yeah, but he's still powerful.
He would... that seems like that would be a headmaster spell. That would be a, what's the headmaster's name?
Dibbit.
Dibbit. So, it goes Phineas Black, Dibbit, then Dumbledore?
I know Armando Dibbit was headmaster when Tom Riddle was in school. Yeah. I don't know if there was another one in there. Like,
so what was Dumbledore?
He was the Transfiguration.
I thought he was Defense of Dark Arts.
He is in the movie. In the book, he was.
So I'm guessing he was. So, my other theory is the the deputy headmaster is always Transfiguration. And here's my reasoning. In Hogwarts Legacy, Professor Weasley is Transfiguration. She's the headmistress. Mm-hmm. Or the deputy headmistress. And
you're only basing that off of those two characters.
No. And then yes. Because Dumbledore was the headmaster, deputy headmaster when Voldemort went to school with Dibbit. So someone else had to be the headmaster at the time if Dumbledore was Defense of Dark Arts. Because it seems like... And then McGonagall is Transfiguration. She's the deputy headmistress as well.
I don't know, honey.
It makes sense. But also Transfiguration would probably be one of the harder spell classes to master. Yeah. Because you would be changing the anatomy of an item to something else.
Yeah. So then we meet the secret guard, I think is what they're called. Which is like Tonks and Moody. And this is the first time we actually meet like real Moody.
So the auras.
The Aurors.
Aurors.
And there's like a bunch more, including like Alpheus Doge and Emmeline Vance and Daedalus Diggle.
So was Sirius an Auror?
No.
Or would he have been an Auror?
He probably might have. Like, I feel like James and Sirius might have been, had they not.
Or could you do like Order of the Phoenix or.
But because the Aurors are a job.
Order of the Phoenix was just like...
Moody, I think, was retired at that point.
So I'm guessing Order of Phoenix was like Neighborhood Watch.
It's a secret society.
So Neighborhood Watch.
Kind of. But what's interesting to me is I really like the characterization of Moody in Goblet of Fire when he's secretly Barty Crouch Jr. But it feels weird that Brendan Gleeson played him the same in the rest of the films. Because he's not Barty Crouch Jr. anymore.
Yeah.
Unless Barty Crouch Jr. did an excellent character study.
Maybe. Or, here's this. He didn't know that he was Barty Crouch Jr. yet in the movie. Until the end.
I mean, you could probably maybe venture a guess to say that maybe Brendan Gleeson didn't read the book or wasn't given that part of the script.
Because, so, there's this old show called Harper's Island that I absolutely love.
I've seen a couple episodes. It's not my thing.
No. You don't like horror, bloody gore.
I like Scream, that's about it.
But, so, there was this thing, if you watched Harper's Island or the DVD of it in the bonus scene, or not bonus scenes, the bonus stuff with it, the director was called the Grim Reaper in it. Where if you got a call that day, then you knew your character was going to die. So they had no idea. They didn't get the scripts until the day that they were recording.
I mean, kind of bringing Scream back into this. Like for Scream 6, for example. I'm not going to spoil it because it's still a pretty recent movie.
The killers didn't know that they were the killers until they got that part of the script.
Nobody but the killers were... And that's kind of how it was throughout the entire...
Yeah, no one knew who the killers were until they got to that
maybe
point.
The first few it was
maybe
different.
The first 2 or 3.
Because I know for a fact Scream 3 had a ton of rewrites.
Yeah.
I mean, come back in October when we cover the entire series.
It's the same thing with what Marvel does is they put out a lot of fake scripts, mainly for Tom Holland, who would spoil, and Mark Ruffalo, who would spoil. But yeah.
So then
I could see them doing that, not telling that he was Barty Crouch Jr., but no, he had to know because of the tongue thing.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's just, I really like his characterization as being, like, super manic, but, like...
But wasn't he super manic in the book? Like, wasn't he always paranoid in the book?
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, there's this, in the scene that I'm about to talk about, when they're flying over London, in the book, he's, like, changing directions and going up really high and really paranoid about, like, getting tracked or whatever.
So, I mean, the characterization makes sense.
I don't know. There's just, like, it feels like they should be different, considering it wasn't really him the first time we
So,
his
eye, is that his real eye in that thing, or is it just an enchanted eye?
No, because I feel like I think it's said that he, like, got in some kind of battle and lost one of his eyes.
Ooh. So, like George. Where's it Fred? Which one lost the ear?
George lost the ear.
George. Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert, it's foreshadowing for him losing a part of himself. Which, when you think about it like that, is really depressing.
We're not there yet. Cut that.
And we meet Nymphadora Tonks,
who is related to Sirius Black.
Yeah, they're cousins.
Mm-hmm. So are the Weasleys.
Well, because Nymphadora's mother, Andromeda, is Narcissa and Bellatrix's sister.
Yeah. And then a Black married the Weasleys and got ostracized from the family.
I mean, blood traitors.
Yeah. They were blood traitors. And
Andromeda and Tonks were both ousted because Andromeda married a Muggle.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a Muggle or a Muggle-born? I think it was a Muggle. I think Ted Tonks is a Muggle.
That would have to be weird to explain. Why is my daughter...
Well, she's a metamorph magus, too.
Like, that would be hard to explain. Like, why is my daughter changing, like,
well,
shapes?
because they talk about Teddy Lupin. When Teddy Lupin is born, they talk about how, like, he changes his hair color as a baby. Because his parents die when he's, like, 11 days old.
So, okay.
Somebody did the math, and I thought that was really depressing.
Yes. So, would he be able to, like, turn into a werewolf? Or would he have werewolf tendencies? Since his father is a werewolf and his... Technically, with Lampercy, your DNA is technically changed.
Lycanthropy?
Lycanthropy. What did I say?
Leprosy?
It changes your DNA. Turning into a werewolf changes your DNA. Because with vampires, if a vampire has a kid, their kid has some vampiric tendencies, I believe. So would a werewolf have those tendencies? Or would you be able to turn your
I wonder if he's, like... Is it possible to be born an animagus, or is it, like, a skill that you learn? Because I wonder...
I think it's a skill you have to learn. Or, I mean, technically Tonks can sort of do animagus stuff.
Because she turns, like, she morphs her face into a duck.
Yeah.
So I wonder, maybe, like, as a, like, he can electively, like, kind of, like, look wolf-like.
Yeah. He may look wolf-like, but not... He may have some werewolf tendencies, like, needing, raw meat, eating raw meat.
Am I part werewolf? Because I like rare meat. They get on their brooms, and this is when I will mention the excellent score. I love especially the song that's playing while they're flying to Grimmauld Place.
Mm-hmm.
That and Umbridge's song.
Yeah. We're so upbeat for such of a horrible person.
And then I also really love the Weasley Stomp. Which is during, like, the fireworks scene.
I think I actually had this soundtrack on my iPod. And I was always playing the Weasley Stomp when I was biking.
It's probably... I don't work out, if you haven't gathered that from me. But I imagine it's probably a pretty good workout tune.
Yeah.
If you work out to movie scores. So they get to Grimmauld Place, and they basically, like, the apartments, like, shift and the muggles inside have no idea.
Apparently 12 just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It goes 10, 11, 13.
You know what the explanation for that is?
12 is an unlucky number to the wizarding world?
Magic.
I hate that answer. I absolutely hate that answer. The magic.
It's like the SpongeBob rainbow meme. So they go in, and Harry notices that there's severed house elf heads on the wall, which is disturbing.
I mean, it's just their dead house elves.
It's weird, is what it is.
People put deer heads on the wall.
Yeah, if I walk into somebody's house and they just have, like, dead animals everywhere, I would find that very bizarre.
They'll find you bizarre.
It's like...
I don't know.
It's actually more so the equivalent if they had a bunch of their, like, the bodies of... This is really morbid. Their bodies of, like, their dead housekeepers. And we also get introduced to Sirius's mom in this scene through a painting of her that screams racial obscenities.
Great.
And her name, fun fact, is Walburga. And she is named after Walpurgis Night, which is the night after Halloween, which is supposedly when, like, the souls are, like... It's basically Dia de los Muertos.
Yes.
Essentially. But it's, like, a big night for witches. The etymology of that name is, like, really fascinating.
Yeah.
I highly recommend looking it up if that kind of thing is your jam. And we get introduced to the idea of the Order of the Phoenix, which is a secret society.
I'm guessing the Ministry knew about them. I'm guessing, but they could do what orders couldn't. Because orders still had to obey the law.
No, it was secret.
That everyone just knows about.
Not everyone. It's this very small group when you think about it.
I bet the Ministry knew what was going on.
They only knew that Dumbledore was sketchy to them. I'm specifically speaking to, like, the bureaucratic, like...
I still never would have guessed. Dumbledore has always seemed sketchy. He even seemed sketchy in, like, when he was wearing the 3-piece suits.
Yeah, but, okay. It was not one of those things that was, like, an open secret.
Yeah.
It was like an underground thing.
Yeah.
And when you really think about it, there's a scene later when Sirius gives him the photo. It's really not that many people. It's like 20 people.
Yeah. There's also only 28, like, pureblood houses.
Not all of them are purebloods.
True. A good chunk of them seem like they are. The Nevilles, the Potters, the Weasleys.
The Nevilles? The Longbottoms?
Longbottoms. The Longbottoms, the Weasleys.
The Weasleys weren't in the original Order of the Phoenix.
No, the brothers were.
It was Molly's brothers.
True.
The Pruitts. But I think the Pruitts are on the Sacred 28, though.
Yeah.
I really like this interaction between Sirius and Molly. I've always held Molly Weasley very dear because she reminds me of my mom in a lot of ways. And Mrs. Weasley has some, like, you know, things that I don't like. Like, she's really terrible to Fleur.
Who?
Mrs. Weasley.
I mean...
She's awful to Fleur. And honestly, I think she's kind of terrible to Ginny a lot of the time, too.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're all flawed people. And, you know, the day you find out your parents are human beings is, like, kind of earth-shattering sometimes. At her core, I especially love when Mrs. Weasley is, like, she basically calls out Sirius for being like, he's not James, and Sirius is like, he's not your son, and she's like, he's as good as.
Yeah.
And I love that interaction. I think it's really sweet. This is also when we learn that the twins are now of age, and so they're apparating everywhere and driving everybody crazy. And in the book, we also learn this is when they are full force with their Weasley's Wizard Weezes products. And they're only going to school in order to test run their products.
Mm-hmm.
They already had their sights set on not finishing school.
Yeah.
Way before all the Umbridge stuff. So then we go to the Ministry. In the book, there's this whole few chapters of them cleaning out the house, and this is when we get, like, the reference to the locket. And we get introduced to, like, a couple other things, including Mrs. Weasley's Boggart, which is her family dying.
Why would there be a Boggart there?
She just runs across one.
That's weird that there's just a Boggart in the house.
It's an old house.
True.
So then we go to the ministry. Harry and Mr. Weasley go to the Ministry for Harry's hearing, and they try to, like, trip him up by saying it started 5 minutes ago. Harry runs into Fudge doing some sketchy stuff with Lucius. And in the book, Harry says out loud and implies that he knows that Lucius was in the graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, they just, like, stare each other down.
Yeah.
And then there's this courtroom scene, which I feel like this scene was, like, I don't know why I remember the trailers, but I feel like this courtroom scene was in all of the trailers.
Probably.
And I remember this line specifically so vividly, where Dumbledore is like, the Dark Lord's return is incontrovertible. Still to this day, at 28 years old, I still don't know what the word incontrovertible means.
Incontrovertible, not able to be denied or disputed.
This is when we first meet Dolores Jane Umbridge.
Worst person. Who is worse than Voldemort, in my opinion.
I think she's worse than Voldemort because nobody's going to run across in their everyday life a maniacal man obsessed with immortality that doesn't have a nose. But you're going to run across an Umbridge.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason why most people hate her. And she's also, like, on the surface, so, like, she loves cats, she loves the color pink, she wears a bow in her hair, but in reality, she's, like, evil.
Yes.
Willing to use the Cruciatus curse on children. Willing to, like, have children hurt themselves for power. I don't even know. But she's so... Ugh. And Imelda Staunton plays her with, like, such... She plays her so well.
I remember in an interview, her friend said you would play Umbridge so well because you kind of remind me of her.
She's described in the books as, like, being Toad-like.
Which I'm like, is that a compliment? To tell your friend that they remind you of a, like...
Well, and if you...
mean person?
Maybe if you're not American, you probably haven't seen the photo, but, like, in the American editions, all of the chapters have little pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And the photo of Umbridge is, like, the most hideous thing you've ever seen in your life. And I'm not sure if the other countries' editions have those. Let me know. But ours do.
Yeah.
And I think that Imelda Staunton is a lot, I don't think she looks like a toad, personally, but I think her spirit embodies Umbridge so well.
Yeah.
It's funny because I most recently saw her in the most recent season of The Crown.
Mm-hmm.
She plays Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
And throughout that entire season, I was just like, why does Umbridge care so much about a boat? I couldn't. There are certain actors that are just, like, burned into my head as, like, certain characters, and
yeah.
And she is one of those people because she plays Umbridge so well. She just disappears into that role, and I don't know. I had a hard time divorcing her from Umbridge and being able to, like, effectively see her as Queen Elizabeth.
Yes.
And it was really distracting.
Yeah.
I also really love the little bits of, like, Arthur not being able to work the subway. I think it's really funny. Arthur is such a dork.
Yes, he is.
And also, fun fact, the visitor's entrance to the Ministry of Magic is a phone booth, and they dial 62442.
Which is magic.
Which, if maybe you weren't around when T9 word was around.
Mm-hmm.
But it
spells magic.
Yeah. Which I love. I know that's, like, a really common fun fact, but it's fun. Which is why we call it a fun fact. I do think the line where they ask Mrs. Fig what they look like, and she's like, one was rather large and one was quite skinny, and they're like, not the boys, the Dementors. I don't know.
Oh yeah, because Miss Fig's there.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So she can't be a muggle.
She's a squib.
No, because in the movies they make you believe that she's a muggle.
They just don't ever explicitly say it.
Yeah.
They also don't ever, in the movies, use the Marauders' nicknames. So when Harry later says, like, they've got Padfoot, how are movie watchers supposed to know what the hell he means?
True. Yeah.
So, when we go to Hogwarts, and, on the train in the book, this is when we meet Luna, but we don't meet Luna until the carriages.
Yeah. And
they've cut entirely the subplot of Ron and Hermione being prefects.
Yeah.
Which I don't necessarily think is, like, terribly relevant, other than the fact that it's another way to isolate Harry, I think. But Dumbledore figured that he probably had a little too much on his plate.
Yeah.
So we meet my personal favorite character. I love Luna so much. I think she's a freaking angel. And this book actually really made me dislike Hermione in a lot of ways, because of the way she treated Luna.
But, I mean, I can see why. Because
Hermione is so highly logical that Luna's kind of wackiness doesn't really compute.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but, like, Hermione is frankly just mean.
They're complete opposites.
Hermione is so by the book.
Yeah. While Luna is all fun.
I wouldn't even say that. She just has a different way of thinking about things.
Yeah.
And I think it's illustrated in these kind of wacky ways where she believes in creatures that don't exist, or there's no proof of them existing, I should say.
Yeah.
And I think that it drives Hermione crazy because it doesn't follow what she knows as logic. She learns to love Luna for all of her quirks. The matter is, none of Luna's beliefs are hurting anybody.
No. Not at all.
She just is who she is. And, like, sure, the Quibbler does espouse some misinformation where they talk about, like Sirius Black being bad and, like, Fudge being, like, against goblins, and they talk about, like, things that, like, news that couldn't possibly be happening. It's basically like a bunch of Onion articles.
Yes.
But
I forgot about the Onion.
But at the end of the day, she's not hurting anyone.
No. It's like it's just another tabloid.
Yeah, it really is. It's a tabloid. I mean, I think real world tabloids actually do harm people.
Yes. Yeah. There's a few, but I
apologize if you can hear the train that's running through our town right now. Oh, we go to the Great Hall, and Umbridge is basically talking about... She interrupts Dumbledore, which is, like, a huge no-no. And she has this whole speech about how progress for the sake of progress must be prohibited, which
makes zero sense.
It makes perfect sense. It's just awful.
Yeah.
And she has this god-awful, like, cough that she does. I also love the line where she's like, I want to see all your bright smiling faces looking up at me, and everybody's, like, glaring at her.
Yeah.
So then we immediately go into the first Defense Against the Dark Arts lesson with Professor Umbridge, and she is just straight out the gate awful.
Just teaching them useless stuff.
Well,
just like normal high school.
She basically thinks that practical magic is not... Like, she just only wants to teach them theory. And Harry speaks up, and he's like, you're not going to prepare us. And she's like, who would want to attack children like yourselves? And...
The dude who's been attacking us for 4 years already?
But Voldemort really cares about Harry's education.
Yeah, he always attacks at the end of the year.
And she thinks that Cedric's death was an accident, which is, like, so messed up.
I mean, he was accidentally there.
Sure.
So technically it was an accident.
But...
It was just a series of unfortunate events.
I don't see Count Olaf here.
Okay.
I think that was one of the most millennial references I think we've ever made.
Umbridge is just as bad as Olaf.
There's no way for Harry to absolutely prove that he's right. Which is why so many people are against him. Because to everybody else's standpoint, Harry just came back with a dead body. There's no way for him to prove that Voldemort is back. There's no way for him to prove that Voldemort was the one that killed Cedric. And so, realistically, Harry's just being, like, gaslit this entire movie.
But what about, like, Barty Crouch Jr.? That whole conversation.
Well, no, but Snape and Dumbledore and McGonagall believe him. It's more the greater wizarding world doesn't.
Yeah, true.
And all summer long, Fudge and the Daily Prophet have been, like, completely against Harry.
Yeah.
And it's not until...
the end.
And it's not until Harry meets up with Rita Skeeter that he sets the record straight. And even then, people still don't believe him.
Oh, yeah, we totally forgot to talk about something last week.
Yeah, I meant to swing back around to it, and I completely forgot.
Rita Skeeter's been missing.
So Rita Skeeter, Hermione kidnaps a grown woman.
So Rita Skeeter is an animagus.
She's a beetle.
She can turn into a beetle, which I think a fly on the wall would have been more clever. But that's just me.
And Hermione captures her and enchants the jar so she can't transform and break the jar.
So, she kept a grown woman in a glass jar for a year without feeding her.
And I love how Hermione says at the end on the train, it's like, I put some leaves in there.
Like,
Hermione!
No! I appreciate what you did.
We don't kidnap grown women.
But, I mean, it is Rita Skeeter, who is awful. So, did Hermione actually do a bad thing? Because she took an awful person off the streets?
Her whole thing was like, she'll stop writing stories about you, Harry.
Like, you're not wrong, but you did it in a bad...
Could we not kidnap people?
I mean, it's not as bad what Harry did. He killed a grown man with his hands.
I guess Harry was directly responsible for killing a man with his bare hands and another man's memory loss.
No, that was Gilderoy's fault. That was 100% Gilderoy's fault. Because he took Ron's wand and the spell backfired. So that's not Harry's fault. That's Gilderoy's fault.
This is true.
But Cedric's death is Harry's fault.
No, Cedric's death is Cedric's fault. Because Cedric was the one like, let's grab it at the same time. I'm sorry.
No, Harry said that.
I'm not victim blaming.
Harry said was grabbing at the same time.
Pretty sure it was Cedric.
I think it was Harry.
I'm pretty sure it was Cedric.
Whatever. Or Cedric, I don't know.
To be fair, they didn't know where it was going to end up.
So it was a portkey anyway.
I think it was supposed to land them at the beginning.
But, okay. A portkey is a one-time use. Right?
Usually, yeah.
So...
There might be a two-way portkey, though.
But a portkey is supposed to take you to one place and then back to another.
We don't need to concentrate on the previous one.
But the portkey took them to two different locations. Every other portkey we've seen that I've seen on the wiki, it's just a one use.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So then we get the Umbridge detention scene, which is just, child torture. Just casual child torture.
I should not lie.
I must not tell lies.
So he's just branded for the rest of his life.
Yeah. The interesting thing...
that we never see again.
No, I think that there's a line in... I think it's in 7, when Harry finds out that Umbridge has the locket when they're about to break into the Ministry, that he looks down at his hand and sees, the faint scar.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Maybe.
And... yeah, this scene, especially when Harry, steps foot into her office and it's, bright pink and there's cat plates meowing everywhere.
She is a Karen.
And everything in her office is pink. From, her sugar is pink. She even, straightens her pencils into a perfect line. Her shoes are perfectly placed.
So she has OCD and she's a Karen.
She's
messed up in the head.
The way she delivers the line, no, you're going to be using a rather special quill of mine. Ugh.
I'm good, lady. I'm good.
I think at that point, Harry will never, ever, ever use a quill that is not his ever again.
Mm-hmm. Or, here's an idea. Just use a pen. There was pens in the 90s.
This is my thing. It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, know 80s and 90s.
I know the Wizarding world is kind of behind the times.
But pens exist.
I don't understand their obsession with using quills.
Because it's old school.
Because it's whimsical.
But pens existed. And pencils existed before pens.
I just want, maybe this is a more 2010s thing. But those mechanical pencils, the expensive ones that are bright colors with they're a button on it.
Yes.
I love those.
Which looked like it was an actual pencil.
No. Not those. It's it was a mechanical pencil and they were usually purple, green, pink with clear. And, you clicked, the bright green button on the side to click, and it had, the white twistable eraser.
Oh, yes. I loved those. You know what my favorite fake pencils were? It was the ones that had the little piece of granite with, that hard plastic on it.
Granite?
Or graphite.
Yeah, it was, like a countertop?
Yes. No. The graphite, they were, yay tall, but the pencil had, 10 of those in it.
Oh, the stackable ones?
Yes.
And you move you break off of the thing and move it to the bottom?
Yeah, you just pull it down.
I hated those.
If you lost one, you might as well just throw that away.
I hated writing with those. They, made, the most god-awful sound.
It was just pencil lead.
I hated it. I don't know if anybody else had this when they were in school. Maybe I'm showing my age, but, I remember, mechanical pencil lead being, currency.
Yes, they were. If you had a .07 millimeter, you were, a king.
I remember people would sell, packs of...
Yeah, because they were cheap. You could buy them, but the mechanical pencil part was expensive.
Like, I know people that would, like, be like, oh, I'll give you this for, like $5 or something.
Like, I'll give you this for your cookie at lunch.
Yeah.
I'll give you one piece of mechanical pencil for your Oreo.
Or it's like I'll trade you. I'll give you pencil lead, but you're gonna need to give me your science notes.
Yeah, it was like prison currency.
High school is wild, man.
That was more middle school.
No, it was high school for me.
Oh, in high school we used pens.
Because we weren't allowed to chew gum in my school, and so people traded pencil lead like it was gum.
True. I think we were able to chew. Yeah, we were able to chew gum.
Anyway, I don't know why that made me think of that.
I don't know. No, because we were talking about the quills, and then I brought up pencils, and then we went on.
What color is math to you?
Red.
I agree.
Because of the hatred.
And English is blue. Or is history blue?
History was green for me.
Science was always green because of biology and, like, plants.
Science was yellow for me because of chemistry.
That is, like, such a universal question.
Like, English was... I don't remember. I didn't do folders. I had one of those, like the binders. Like
the zips?
Yes.
That's such a boy thing.
I had the zip.
That is such a millennial boy thing.
I had the zip for a while, but then it got so full.
Did you just, like, throw your papers in there without...
Yes. And then I would just throw everything in my locker.
Knowing you, that does not shock me whatsoever. I remember...
There was no organization to the zip.
I remember when I am, like, severely ADHD, so I would get so excited about my school supplies in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And by Christmas, my, like, like, nothing would be in its place. Then we go with Luna to meet my favorite magical creature, the Thestrals.
Mm-hmm. The bony ponies.
The bony ponies.
Mm-hmm.
Thestrals have always been my favorite magical creature in the entirety of the entire series. I don't really know why. I just find them really fascinating.
I mean, technically, shouldn't Harry have been able to see them the entire time? Technically.
This is my, like, probably my top least favorite plot hole.
Because he has experienced death.
I think it's, you had to, like, absorb and, like...
He saw it! And he was told his entire life how
he's
been told his entire life of how his mom died. And dad died. His entire life.
He was also, like, in the crib, like, right in front of her.
So, but he's been told his entire life how his mom sacrificed herself for him. So, shouldn't he have been able to see it the entire time?
This is... Okay.
Because...
Here's my thing, though.
You can bet that Dursley's, or at least Dursley's son, I cannot think of it. Dudley would make fun of Harry for being, like, an orphan. You know he would always say, hey, your mom's dead.
But here's my thing, is that at the end of book 4, they take the carriages back to the train. And
we don't see it.
And he doesn't see them. So, and that was after Cedric died.
Yeah.
So was it just, does he need to process it? Is this just a plot hole?
I can do your logic. Magic.
I love bony ponies, though. And I love that we see a baby bony pony.
Mm-hmm. In Hogwarts Legacy, I have several bony ponies.
Oh my god.
And several baby bony ponies that I've sold.
I will never... Yeah, Matthew's a poacher in Hogwarts
I am not a poacher.
Yes, you are.
No, I am not. Poachers kill them. I just sell them. I just take the Thestral hairs and sell them for 150 gold, which you make nothing off of.
I do love this.
Also have an unlimited
I think it's a little weird that in this scene...
Transfiguration.
I think it's a little weird in this scene that Luna is just barefoot.
Luna is just a weird
But
one.
at the end, we figure out that her shoes have been stolen.
So she's had no shoes this entire year?
I think she, like, has her school shoes, but she doesn't have her casual shoes.
I don't even have something to say about that. Because, A, don't steal shoes. And 2...
Did we learn nothing from Holes? Have you seen that movie? Do you get that reference at all?
Yes, I get that. In 3rd grade, I think it was when it came out. We read the book and then we went to see the movie as a field trip.
God, that movie is so good.
It's a weird movie. Did you know the turnips that they were eating, or the onions that they were eating, were apples?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember how long it's been since I've seen it, but I remember a weird amount about it.
Same. Same.
And there's so many people in that movie that are like, oh, it's that person.
Yeah, it's like, dang, there's a lot of famous people in this movie. Like, Shia LaBeouf. Not so much famous anymore, but he was big at the time. Not Weaver, it's,
Sigourney.
Is this Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah, she's the warden.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver. The guy that looks like a rat. I can't think of his name. The balding, skinny dude.
Yeah. I don't know what he's from.
I've seen him in a bunch
I ran across the guy who plays Zero, the little boy.
I have not seen him in anything.
I ran across him on TikTok not that long ago. No, I think this is when they form the DA, because then they go, because there's that meeting in the Gryffindor common room between the trio, and they talk to Sirius over the flame. Which, can we just talk about the flue powder phone? So much better in 4. Because in 5, it's like a hologram with Sirius's face.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, in movie 4, it's like the ashes are like made out of like
his face. But the flame was going at that time.
I don't know. I think it's like wizard FaceTime.
Yeah. So, can you use any fireplace as for flue powder?
As long as it's hooked up to the Flue network.
So,
fun fact though, they're in book 4 before it might be directly after the Quidditch World Cup. Amos Diggory like sticks his head through the fire, and Mrs. Weasley feeds him toast through the flue powder.
So, if you connected the Gryffindor common room to... Actually, yes, there is flue powder corridors in Hogwarts because of Hogwarts Legacy.
You can't imagine!
Oh my gosh. Please, no. You can't imagine how it was traveling through Hogwarts before I invented flue powder. Oh my gosh. Sheer torture. If you've played Hogwarts Legacy, before the last update, like 3 weeks ago, this statue of a face...
I'm sure you've seen the TikToks or the memes by now.
Where all that she would say is, wow, how hard must have been before I invented
off on
flue
another
powder.
adventure, are we?
And then your character, whenever they go to Hogsmeade, says, all roads lead back to Hogsmeade. No, they don't!
So we go to the Hog's Head, and there's this great meeting with what becomes the DA, and they're hyping Harry up, and Hermione finally says Voldemort, and it's like, yeah. Quidditch is completely cut from this movie.
Yeah.
Because there's a big Quidditch subplot in the book.
Yeah.
Like, Ron tries out for Keeper, and, Draco is, Draco, and is terrible, and we miss out on Weasley as our king in the movie. Which, if you've ever listened to the Jim Dale audiobook, he actually makes it into a song, and it is fantastic.
Because it was a song in the book.
Yeah, but Stephen Fry reads it. Jim Dale actually sings it.
Who's Jim Dale?
He does the American editions.
He's
a character actor.
I was thinking of something from Fairly Odd Parents. Doug Dimmadome.
If you've ever seen, which is maybe 2 of you, Pete's Dragon from the 70s. Jim Dale plays the villain in that movie.
Yeah, no, never seen it.
It's not good, but it's funny.
I mean, how many movies from the 70s are good?
It's really funny, though.
I'll take your word for it.
It's kind of exciting, isn't it? Breaking the rules. Who are you and what have you done with Hermione Granger?
Yeah.
And Cho couldn't keep her eyes off you, could she?
Cho was just trying to rebound off of the Triwizard winner.
Okay.
She's trying to get brownie points.
Cho and Lavender Brown get some serious flack, and in my personal opinion, they behave like typical teenage girls with their first boyfriends. I think we should cut them some slack.
No, Cho's first boyfriend was Cedric.
I don't think they were ever serious. They went to a dance together.
I think they were dating.
They were also like she was like 14, 15.
I think Cho was a year above.
I think she's a year above Harry, so
only 2 years apart.
Whatever.
Or 3 years apart at the time. Whatever. No, 2 years apart at the time. So.
But, like, I don't think.
Whatever.
I think she really liked Harry, but, like, Cedric just got to her first when he asked her to the dance.
I doubt it.
But,
because
like.
everyone that's close to Harry gets injured.
Cho gets so much flack for being, like, a crier. And, like, I think it's just in comparison to, like, Hermione and Ginny, who are both, like, supposed to be the girls that we want the boys to be with.
No, I'm not getting on to her for being a crier. I'm just saying she's jumping on the, like, popularity wagon.
You don't think she really likes Harry?
No, I think she's just trying to be with Harry because he's the chosen one.
I don't get that from her. I get a sincerity.
I don't. Because her date, like, got murdered. And she showed, like, no remorse over that.
It's trauma.
But then she moved on pretty quickly.
It's trauma.
Yeah.
So then this is where we get our training montage.
And then we also get the, what is Draco's group called?
The Inquisitorial Squad.
Which, it's just a bad name.
It's a bunch of narcs.
Yeah. I never would have thought I could see Malfoy actually being a narc.
He's a tattletale.
Yeah. My daddy's going to hear about this.
He just wanted brownie points from his dad.
The only person I could legitimately see working with Voldemort and Voldemort being terrified of is Umbridge. I can see Voldemort being terrified of Umbridge.
The thing that the movie really cuts out is a lot of the through lines with Percy. Because in the book, Percy has a huge riff with his family. And because Arthur thinks that Percy was only hired because Fudge wanted to keep an eye on Dumbledore's activities.
Mm-hmm.
And Percy was close to Dumbledore in some way.
Yeah.
At least would hear information, I guess.
Yeah.
But he like, in the book, insulted his dad for, like, not being ambitious enough. And
I always hated Percy.
Yeah, Percy's terrible.
I always hated Percy. During the Battle of Hogwarts, I wish Percy's the one that...
Well, he comes back right before Fred dies.
He just spoiled it.
Everybody who's listening to this has watched and seen all of it. That's wrong.
Percy should have been the one, not Fred. I'm sorry. But Percy was useless. A doorknob is more useful than Percy. Tell me I'm wrong.
Percy is awful.
Percy is he's worse than a narc.
Completely cuts off his entire family for the sake of ambition.
Honestly, I could see Percy siding with Voldemort. I honestly could.
I cannot believe it took him an entire other year to make amends. Nearly 2. Like,
Percy is
It took until, like, stuff got real and people were dying for him to, like, be like, oh, crap.
This battle's actually real. Harry was right all along.
Like, really, Harry? Or really, Percy? Like,
Percy is useless. He doesn't do a single thing that is helpful.
Well, and in the book, he writes a letter to Ron, basically saying, like, you need to distance yourself from Harry because he's, like, not good for you. And it's like, no, Harry's gonna save all your butts.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Percy's useless. Neville's more useful than Percy.
Okay. I need to say this. I do not subscribe to his Neville slander.
All I said was Neville was useless before the 4th. Tell me one thing Neville did that was useful.
He stood up to his friends.
So did Peter Pettigrew.
Peter Pettigrew is a slimy little rat.
In the 4th one, he was useful in the movie, but he wasn't even useful in the book. Because in the book, it was Dobby that gave him the Grindelweed. Gillyweed.
For the record.
In the movie. It was Neville.
He is alone in his Neville slander. I do not subscribe to this.
And even with finding the room of requirements in the movie was Neville, but in the book, it was Dobby that told Harry where to go. So it wasn't even Neville. They added that entire scene to the movie, just like in the 4th one, to make Neville useful when he wasn't. Neville was not useful in the books until later on in the franchise. In the movies, they make him useful to try to give him character arcs and character development.
We do not slander Neville Longbottom in this house.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You are wrong. Not a lot happens.
It's just a training montage, the room grows a mistletoe.
Oh,
Harry
the
and Cho
awkward cringe kiss. Chemistry, we don't know her.
That's what I'm saying. Cho didn't really like Harry. She was just clout chasing.
No, I just think that the actors didn't have any chemistry. I feel the same way about Daniel Radcliffe and Bonnie Wright, who played Ginny.
I mean, they were better together than Cho and Harry.
Ginny in the movies is like watching paint dry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bonnie. I know you listen to this.
That would be awesome, though, if she did. If anyone from Harry Potter listened to this, that would be awesome.
I really don't think that they listen to things about themselves.
Yeah.
But, this kiss is so awkward. And I don't like the way that the camera, spins around them and, lingers on their lips. It's, ugh.
It's weird.
These are, the actors aren't, but they're supposed to be under. We have the awkward as heck kiss.
Yeah.
And then we immediately get this very sweet scene between the trio. And I love scenes of them just being relaxed and chilling, essentially.
Yeah.
And I'm 90% sure, maybe I'm completely making this up, but I'm 90% sure I'm not, that I'm pretty sure that they just kind of left the camera rolling, and that's the Emma Watson laughs, and they just kind of left it rolling, and somebody said something off camera that was funny. Maybe. That made her laugh. And I don't know, I love these little moments of just pure friendship, and you see Harry finally lighten up a little bit, and it's not all bad. You know, a little ray of hope. I believe this is when we get the Harry has a dream where he is Nagini and he bites Arthur.
Yes.
And I remember the first time I read this being really confused, and the way that it's described that Harry is the snake.
Yeah.
Is so dark and so bizarre. And in the book we see a whole chapter of them going to visit him in the hospital, and we see Gilderoy, who's completely lost his mind, and we also meet Neville's parents. Well, we don't
meet them. We hear about what truly happened to them.
And
which we've known for a long time now.
Well, Harry knows, but Neville doesn't know Harry knows.
Yeah.
And Augusta, Neville's grandma, is almost offended that Neville didn't tell his friends.
Yeah.
Because Neville should be proud
that his family stood up.
Yeah, in the movie, Harry and Neville just have this sweet exchange of, you know, like, we should be proud, you know, we'll make them proud, Neville. I don't know, I just think the scene is really sweet, and we have Christmas, and we have this absolutely brilliantly scripted scene between Harry and Sirius, where Harry, they basically have this sweet meeting in the room with the tapestry. It's like the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Which they actually sell. Mina Lima actually sells that wallpaper.
Nice.
It's outrageously expensive.
No doubt.
Like one roll of it, which I don't know what the measurements of it is, but like one roll of it's like $100.
Editing Sarah here. So I checked the Mina Lima website, and it is 0.5 by 10 meters. Don't know if that's standard for wallpaper. Can't tell you that I've ever bought wallpaper in my life. It is 99 pounds and 95 cents, which roughly translates to about $125 US. So, very pricey wallpaper in case you're redecorating your house and have no budget.
It's crazy. I don't know who's gonna wallpaper their bedroom in that, but
Yeah, no.
they also have a Marauder's Nap one, which is pretty cool.
That would be cool to have.
But I love this scene purely for the line of, like, Harry's, you know, talking about how angry he is, and Sirius is like, you're not a bad person. You're a very good person who bad things have happened to.
Yes.
And we both have light and dark in both of us, in all of us. It's just the part you choose to act on.
Yes.
I love this whole exchange. It's brilliantly scripted. I don't think any of these lines are in the book.
No, they said it's not.
We also learn a little bit more about Sirius's, like, family tree, and we learn about Bellatrix, and in the book it dives a little bit deeper into, like, a little bit more of this.
Yeah.
But I think this, the Black family tree is such an interesting part to this story. And the Black, like, family, like, lineage is so important to their family. Like, their family motto, which, like, who has family mottos nowadays? Their family motto is French for always pure.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, like, yikes.
Yeah.
This is also the same scene that we meet Creature, the Black's house elf.
Yeah. And
we completely skimmed over in the last episode, SPEW, Hermione's house elf initiative, and just because I couldn't find a place to talk about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But in the book, she's, like, completely on this, like, crusade to free all the house elves, but Sirius emphasizes to her that we can't free Creature because Creature knows too much about the Order.
Yeah. Because who knows who would take Creature into torture.
But also, Creature is... I don't know if we learn about it in this specific scene or Harry makes an inference about it later in the series, but that house elves are loyal to who are kind to them. And which is why later, when Creature basically, like, sells Sirius out, they lure Harry to the Department of Mysteries.
Yes.
But in the book, Harry, like, Creature says that Sirius isn't home, but in reality, it's that Sirius is tending to Buckbeak.
Yeah.
And so the whole reason why Creature sells Sirius down the river is because Sirius is so cruel to Creature. Which is why Creature has such, like, horrible ideologies, because he takes on the ideologies of the people who he's loyal to.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was really long-winded, but and we meet Helena Bonham Carter. Can you imagine literally anyone else in this role?
No.
I don't know, like, how or who they're gonna have play Bellatrix in the reboot.
I have no idea.
It would be fun if they brought Helena back.
Yeah.
She might be too old at that point, though.
Maybe. I don't know. But, I mean, I honestly can't think of anyone to play her.
She has this quality to her that pre-Azkaban she was, like, hot and, like, you know...
Oh, she's still hot.
Really?
Yes! No, what's her name? She was in Westworld.
Tandy Newton?
No.
Maeve?
No, not Maeve. The one that was, like, that worked with Ford. The redhead. The one that was dating Bernard in season 1.
Oh, I cannot remember her name.
Her. I can see her being Bellatrix.
Oh, I can't. I hope that Hermione is played by the girl who played Matilda in the remake, in the musical that Netflix just did.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think that girl was incredible.
Yeah. But it has...
She might be too old, though. Trelawney gets fired.
Yes.
And
Dumbledore stops it.
Umbridge is just freaking evil. In the book, we get Ferenzi, the centaur. That is the new divination teacher.
Which is weird.
And Umbridge is not happy about it because she doesn't like half-breeds. Because she's racist.
But Trelawney doesn't get fired. Dumbledore saves her.
She doesn't get banished.
Oh, she's just not a professor anymore?
Well, she comes back as a professor in the 6th.
Yeah.
And her and Ferenzi kind of, like, split classes.
Don't we meet Ferenzi later in the...
No, we meet him in the first book.
Then who's the centaurs that we meet in...
Ronan and Bane.
Okay. And then we meet Hagrid's brother.
Oh. Sorry, that was a really bad Bane impression.
What? I didn't even know what you were trying to do.
Because his name was Bane, so I was, like, thinking of the Batman villain.
Oh. I was shaped and... I can't do the voice anymore. I used to be able to. I can do the... I can do that to get into it. But other than that, nope.
I don't know anything about Batman.
The line that everyone does is... You were shaped by the darkness, but I was born in the darkness. Is the line that everyone does.
Why does he have, like, the mask that...
Because he's a luchador!
No, it's like the mask that they give you at the dentist to give you...
We don't talk about Tom
laughing
Hardy's
gas.
outfit. We don't talk about that outfit of Bane.
They give you, like, a laughing gas mask.
So... This is... Actually, no. Technically, this does deal with Harry Potter because Harry Potter's owned by Warner Brothers and DC's owned by Warner Brothers. So it correlates. So, Bane is filled with a toxin called Venom. Not the Venom in Marvel. A different Venom.
But they're also both played by Tom Hardy.
Yes.
Have you made that connection
Nope.
before?
No, but the Bane in Batman, the Christian Bale one, isn't affected by Venom. He doesn't have Venom flowing through him. Michael Keaton's the best Batman, in my opinion. I mean, they do escape at some point.
Oh, we start occlumency lessons.
Yeah. So how... I don't remember. Was it just a lightning strike that struck Azkaban?
I don't know. They're not that clear about it. There was, like, an explosion.
So I'm guessing it was...
I'm guessing it breaks the charms that, like, keep them from apparating. But then I'm like, so how did she get her wand back then?
So, she didn't have a wand yet. She got her wand back at, I'm guessing, between 5 and 6.
No, because she kills Sirius.
That's right. Loner wand. Or do you think, because we don't ever know that Ollivander actually when he gets kidnapped.
We see it in the movie.
We do?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Fenrir, like, takes a guy out of the wand shop with a bag over his head.
I don't remember that. Oh, yeah, that's right. So he was trapped in the Malfoy Manor for, like, 2 years?
Basically.
Dang. That sucks.
And tortured by Voldemort.
For 2 years to make wands. That sucks. Couldn't Ollivander make the Elder Wand?
Okay, we don't need to get into that.
No, in all honesty, couldn't Ollivander take Thestral hair and put it in the same, like, Elderwood tree that the Elder Wand is made out of?
I don't know.
And make a copy of the Elder Wand?
So then this is when I believe when the DA is found out, and in the movie it's Cho Chang, but in the book it's Marietta Edgecombe, which is Cho Chang's friend. I just think that they just didn't want to introduce another character.
And she wrote
Sneak in the
parchment.
The sign-up sheet.
The parchment.
Yeah, was cursed, and Marietta Edgecombe had a bunch of, like, pimples to spell out the word sneak, which
on
is,
her
like,
forehead.
Diabolical, Hermione.
Yeah.
Like, she disfigured a girl.
Yeah. I mean, she also kidnapped Rita Skeeter for a year. So, could you put it past Hermione? Hermione is evil.
Hermione makes some baffling choices.
She's evil. She's smart, but she's evil. Like, Hermione terrifies me.
I just don't understand how that's ethical. Either one.
Magic. I don't know.
But in the movie, for some reason it's Cho.
Yeah. Because she was tortured.
They used Veritaserum on her.
Yeah.
And then this is when we get the scene where Dumbledore's like, I have no intention of going quietly.
Boom! And apparates. And just disappears.
You may not like a minister, but you can't deny Dumbledore's got style.
Like, you just admitted guilt because you were resisting arrest. Right?
It's Dumbledore. Did you expect anything less?
No. Not at all. But still, with him disappearing like that, he left Umbridge in charge.
Yeah, I don't...
But the Ministry doesn't have control of Hogwarts.
Yeah, they do. It's a school. They're the government.
True. True.
I love how at the beginning Hermione's like, the Ministry's interfering with Hogwarts. And I'm like, they weren't already? So then we have occlumency lessons, and this is when we get Snape's worst memory, and we learn that James
and them bullied him.
Yeah, which is like, this is why people think it's justified that Snape is awful. And I'm like, no. A lot of people are bullied and are not straight up evil.
Yeah, but also Dumbledore pretty much had him let the love of his life get killed. And a bunch of bad things has happened this season.
I hate when people are like justify it with, but he loved Lily.
He did.
In the same scene in the book, he literally says to her, she tries to stop James, and he says, I don't need your help, and calls her a mudblood.
Because he feels like she abandoned him.
So he calls her a racial slur?
Because they were best friends, like, as kids.
Well, yeah, but then he started, like, hanging out with all the people who became Death Eaters.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't just hang around people who hate you.
Because they made him feel like a part of something.
I just don't
Because
think...
he was bullied by everyone.
I just don't think it's justified.
I don't know. I mean, Snape was bullied by everyone.
You don't get to be a bad person just because you have trauma.
He was a bad person, but then he was good at the end because we actually learned the truth.
Because you need to... It really comes down to that. It's not our abilities that make us who we truly are. It is our choices. Everybody... You cannot control other people's actions. You can control how you react to them.
Yeah. But also, remember, Snape being mean was a persona.
I mean, he legitimately was a Death Eater, though.
But he was also... Yeah, so it was a persona because he was secretly...
He wanted to be part of the club.
Yeah.
But
he was working for Dumbledore this entire time, so he had...
Not when he was first friends with them at school.
True, but I'm saying when he was mean to the kids, he had to keep the persona of being a Death Eater, because there were students of Death Eaters in his classes.
So, on a lighter note, maybe not. There's the kind of running joke in the fandom of whether or not they wear clothes under their cloaks. This is proof that they don't. This scene in the book, because James tips him upside down and his underwear is showing to the whole... So...
Or he just might not have worn pants that day. Because we've seen them in pants
in the movie.
True.
Reference to in book 4, when at the Quidditch World Cup, one of the guys who's dressed like a muggle is wearing a lady's dress, and he says that he likes feeling the air around his private, which basically implies that he's not used to it.
Yeah.
Which,
So,
if he wore robes...
There's pants underneath robes.
Apparently Snape doesn't wear pants.
He might not. But other people do.
I don't know. I just find that that's funny.
Are you talking about a muumuu?
Honestly...
Because it looks like Snape wears a muumuu. A black muumuu.
Did he and Elizabeth Taylor have the same taste in clothes?
So does Dumbledore. Dumbledore wears a...
It looks comfy as heck, though.
Dumbledore wears a, brightly colored muumuu. And Snape wears a black muumuu.
They look comfy.
Yeah. But they don't have to wear pants, so...
I mean, I'm down.
No, so... My theory why Snape is always mean to everyone is because he has kids that are Death Eaters, and he doesn't want the kids reporting to his parents like, yeah, Snape's nice now.
He literally tried to poison Neville's frog. He basically, insulted Hermione's looks and intelligence on a regular basis. He bullied Harry specifically because he looked like his dad. Anywho, so then we get the OWLs and the Weasley fireworks scene with the best piece of score in this entire movie.
Yeah.
I love this score. I do miss the "Give her hell from us, Peeves" line, though. But there's no...
Peeves was in this movie.
There's no Peeves, so...
Yeah, I know.
I hope he's in the reboot. Then Harry passes out, and this is when we go to Umbridge's office, and Umbridge literally slaps him across the face and threatens to use the Cruciatus Curse. I've never called it Cruciatus. Cruciatus Curse.
Yeah.
And horrible. And I like that she, puts Fudge's picture down, which I'm like, why do you have a framed picture of your boss?
To keep an eye on her.
It's weird.
To keep an eye on her.
And Snape comes in, and Harry's like, he's got Padfoot. He's got Padfoot in the place where it's hidden. Which I'm like, movie watchers don't know who Padfoot is.
Yeah. But Snape would know what that means.
And then Hermione speaks up and says, like, oh, I'll take you to the weapon. And I completely skipped over the Grob scene, but I don't really think it's that relevant, to be honest with you. In the book, we learned that Hagrid has a little brother, and...
Who is a full...
half-brother.
No, that is a real full giant.
Yeah.
Not full brother, half.
And Hagrid's been off with the giants, trying to recruit them for the good side.
Yeah.
In the book. Well, I guess he's in the movie, but it's more fleshed out in the book.
Yeah.
And so then she leads Umbridge to the centaurs, and the centaurs carry her off. Not gonna get into that, but it's a little disturbing. And I do love the callback of the sorry professor, I must not tell lies.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes back in 7 too.
Yeah.
Which I think is genius. And then we take the Thestrals to the Ministry, and the Department of Mysteries in the book, has so many more rooms.
Yeah, isn't it like 10 stories with most of them underground?
No.
I thought it was 10.
Oh, you're talking about the
Ministry of Magic.
I'm talking specifically about the Department of Mysteries.
Oh, no, I was just talking about the Ministry. And you just said the Ministry.
It's in the Ministry of Magic.
Yeah. No, you said there's a lot more rooms in the Ministry than we see.
I can't remember where I've seen this. It might... There's some art
It's in one of your books. I think it's in the 5th one, where we see all of the...
Yes, it is. I think it's in the illustrated edition.
It is in the illustrated edition.
Of 5, where it's, like, basically, like, a floor map of the Ministry, and it's really freaking cool.
Where everything is below ground.
Mm-hmm. The Department of Mysteries has a bunch of... It basically explores all the different kinds of magic.
And all the different types of hidden magic. And prophecies, and time turners, and everything. That's pretty much outlawed.
And this scene in the book is so much more... There's so much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
And all we really see in the movie is the veil.
Yeah.
Which fans still to this day have questions about the veil.
Isn't it just where wizards' souls go?
It's the barrier between life and death.
Yeah.
And there's... What?
Do you think there's, like, ancient like, the Hogwarts Legacy ancient magic stuff in there?
Probably. There's one room that Harry can't get into at all, and it's believed to be the most powerful magic of all, which is love.
Mm-hmm. This isn't the... Yeah. Because there's a love fountain or something in it. Is what...
We never go into it, though.
Yeah.
But there's a space room, there's a time room.
Yeah.
There's a death room. Which is what the veil is in.
Yeah. Which they just happen to go into.
No, they fall into it.
Mm.
And then there's the prophecy room. And...
They destroy so many prophecies.
Oh my god.
Like...
Sorry to all the randos that have prophecies.
No more! Your prophecy's gone. Actually, your prophecy will still happen.
I imagine there's probably extra copies.
I doubt it. Because it's just in a remember-all until, like, a divination teacher reads it and Voldemort overhears it. Okay, I'm sorry, but if someone that looks snake-like comes and applies to work in your school, why would you even give them the time of day? If someone looks evil, if I had my own business, I mean, I do have my own business, but if someone looks evil, I'm not going to hire them or even give them the time of day.
So what happened was, Trelawney was interviewing for the job of divination professor. and she and Dumbledore were meeting in the Hog's Head, and she basically gave him this prophecy, and Snape overheard it.
Yeah.
But only part of it. And relayed the part that he heard to Voldemort. Which, so Snape was the one that got Lily killed.
No, Lily would still have died.
I know, but...
Either way, Lily would have still died.
But this is why he hates Neville, too. Because Neville could have been. Because it applied to Neville, too.
No, Lily would still be tortured. It just would have been opposite. So he still would have lost Lily.
I mean, my dude already lost Lily.
True.
She chose somebody else.
True.
And had a kid with somebody else.
True.
You lost her the day you called her a mudblood.
Yeah.
So then there's a battle between the Order and the Death Eaters, and Bellatrix shoots a spell at Sirius, and he falls through the veil. And this scream that Daniel Radcliffe has is, like, muted because...
I thought it was Avada Kedavra.
No, people think it's that. She stupefies him, and he falls into it. At least in the book.
Okay.
I think it's Rick Decembra, actually. I don't think it's Stupefy.
Okay. Hey, OSHA violation right there. Not having that blocked off.
There should be, like, caution tape or, like, a velvet rope.
Yeah. Like, don't touch this.
Should be, like, in a glass case, like a museum.
Or have a sign on the door. Don't go through this door.
Yeah, maybe we should have the locked door be on this one.
Yeah. But no, we have to lock the love room.
I don't actually know for sure if it's the love room. It's heavily suspected that it's the love. And then we get the famous, the I killed Sirius Black.
But yeah, with the Harry scream, didn't he lose, like, a family member, like, right before they filmed that?
I think he, like, his grandma died, like, that week.
Yeah, I think, yeah. His grandma or something passed.
I think it was his grandma. And it made, his reaction made everybody cry.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to, like, they felt like they needed to silence it.
Yeah.
I think this is some of his best acting.
And then, I saw this movie in 3D.
Same.
And the only 3D part
Was
the glass falling.
Oh, yeah. This Dumbledore versus Voldemort battle. Chef's kiss.
I mean, I still like the...
We've been waiting 5 movies for a crazy battle.
I still really do like the Dumbledore battle the most against him and Credence. I do like that battle.
I don't even remember that.
It was the one where they kept going, like, into the mirror world, like, in the third one.
Oh, it's very Doctor Strange.
Yeah, where they kept going back and forth doing the spells. And then I also do like a lot of people hate this fight scene in the third Fantastic Beasts, but the one against Grindelwald and Dumbledore I liked. Because it was just a completely white background with them just apparating back and forth doing spells. It was really interesting looking. It was really
I'm shocked you remember that movie as much as you do.
I remember movies, okay? I don't know why.
I try to pretend that I never watched
I can't remember math formulas, but I can remember a movie I watched 25 years ago.
We get, like, water versus fire, and, like, Voldemort gets trapped in a water ball, and, like, there's, like, dragons, I think.
Yeah, and then, like, Harry's on the ground like, I'm gonna kill you too!
I love this,
He channeled his inner Malachi.
His, like, negative thoughts, and then he sees his friends, and his friends, like, he hears, like, Hermione's laughter, and he sees, like, Sirius, and, like, they're hugging, and I just love this, like, that gets Voldemort out of his head.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to watch you die too, like how I killed Cedric.
You've lost, old man.
Yeah.
But this is where we get one of my favorite parts, my favorite Voldemort moments, because there's little flashes of Voldemort on this like weird smoky background.
Yeah.
And we get this very, very quick flash of Voldemort sticking his tongue out, and he goes, "Dah!"
Yeah. Like,
and I'm sorry, it makes me laugh every single time.
yeah.
It is so funny.
And then Fudge's like, oh, he is back.
He's back. No shit.
The ministry is destroyed.
Yeah.
All the glass is
Did
shattered.
they have to invoice Harry? Or he could pay for it.
It's Reparo.
This is true.
This is why I said a couple weeks ago, if a wizard was a construction worker in the Muggle world, they would be a millionaire.
I love how I would love to see the looks on the janitor's face.
Like,
He gets into work and he's like, I have not had enough coffee for this.
like, I mean, it would be one spell, Reparo, and it would fix everything.
It's just like shattered glass everywhere.
No,
I guess
what
it's
janitor
sand.
would there be? Like,
There's the maintenance department.
oh, true. You know what's not at Hogwarts? A janitor.
Filch.
Filch is the ground. Oh, true.
He's seen like sweeping.
One janitor for all of Hogwarts?
My thing is like,
Who did he piss off?
did Filch have some kind of information that like, because Dumbledore, like the whole reason like the whole reason why he hired Trelawney is because she had the prophecy, so he needed to keep her safe, and same thing with Snape. And so does Filch have some kind of information? Because like Filch is terrible.
I think
So, like-
I think Dumbledore just feels bad for Filch.
That might be why. Why couldn't he do the same thing for Petunia? Why couldn't Petunia be like, I don't know,
Petunia has...
a nurse or something?
Because as a Muggle, you can't see Hogwarts. Filch is a squid, so he has magical properties
Couldn't he give the same thing he gave to Jacob?
He didn't give Jacob anything! It's a plot hole!
Uh,
One of the umpteen million in Fantastic Beasts. It's not as bad as the McGonagall one, who would not be a teacher at that time, would still be a student, but we don't talk about that one.
So then, once we get back to Hogwarts, and, Dumbledore and Harry have a meeting. In the book, Harry, like, completely wrecks Dumbledore's office. Like, he throws things and, like, is super, super angry. And then we meet up with Luna, and Luna is basically like, things we love have a way of coming back to us in the end, even though if it's not in the way we expect. And the camera pans up and she finds her shoes.
They've just been up on a telephone pole.
It's not a telephone pole. It's like hanging from like the rafters.
Uh,
Which I'm like, why?
Kids are mean.
And then we get back on the train and Harry says, that we have one thing that Voldemort doesn't.
Noses. Eyebrows. Real looking skin. Normal eyes.
Something worth fighting for. I guess he's fighting for immortality.
Or fighting for a nose. I still think this would have been an awesome little detail to add. Every time that they destroyed a Horcrux, Voldemort started turning more human.
I would have loved that. I think that would have been interesting.
Like, because you see his cloak, like, turning more gray every time a Horcrux
and you
is
see him, like, get veinier and, like, his eyes, like, sinking in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not, like, it would make sense. Actually, no, it wouldn't be possible.
No, because
One of the Horcruxes
it
was
would have had
destroyed.
to have been, like, healing. In order to, and the only way to heal, and, like, is remorse. And he would
Yeah.
never.
True. No, it should be one of the side effects of a Horcrux is if you destroy it. True. It makes sense, but it still would have been cool to see.
So overall, what are your thoughts on this book/movie?
Order of the Phoenix was never my favorite.
I think it's kind of bloated.
Like, it was never my favorite. My favorite is 3.
Yeah, I think Order of the Phoenix, it has so much, especially the book, packed into it.
Yeah.
And I think it feels bloated at times.
Yeah, like with Order of the Phoenix, it's great informational-wise, but it feels like just information garbage. Or information overload.
I will tell you, and maybe this is a hot take, I'm not sure. Sirius is one of the only deaths that I don't really have many feelings about. In my personal opinion, I think Sirius is worse than James. I think he's crueler than James.
But also look at his family.
I know. But, I feel...
His family's full of Death Eaters.
I feel more for Hedwig than I do for Sirius. I feel, like, so much more heartbroken when, like, Dumbledore dies, when Fred dies, when Lupin dies.
Yeah.
Like...
But Sirius was really the first father figure that Harry had for more than a year.
I know, and I feel weird even saying it because I know a lot of people were crushed when Sirius died.
It is an unpopular opinion.
I just didn't feel that much.
Okay, people. Give Sarah hate for that.
For my Sirius slander?
Yes. Ignore my Neville slander. Let's go after the Sirius slander. Because Sirius is a good person. And it's useful.
We all have light and dark in both of us.
Yeah, it just depends on how you use it.
So, yeah. That is a wrap on Order of the Phoenix. Next week we will be covering Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Mm-hmm.
We hope you have a good night, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
If you would like to support this podcast, please consider checking out our merch store at thefanclubpodcast.myspreadshirt.com. You can get exclusive designs designed by us on t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, stickers, and many other items. We will have limited edition designs in the very near future. Be sure to follow us on all of our social medias for updates on what we're working on in real time. We're part of the Needlessly Nerdy Entertainment Network. They're a conglomerate of podcasts and blogs that provide entertainment, news, and reviews about all things nerdy, including movies, TV, books, video games, tabletop games, cons, pop culture, and more. Go check out all of the amazing shows on the network at needlesslynerdy.com.
Needlessly Nerdy, your source for all things nerdy.
www.needlesslynerdy.com.